Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Kay. So I hope you guys had a really great Christmas and I hope that your new year is starting off wonderfully. And I had a really good Christmas. I would say definitely the best Christmas I've had in a very long time. So this year we're gonna make sure that we set our goals and then we're gonna hit every one of those goals by taking those actionable steps. Okay, so in this video we're gonna talk all about how to play the game so that you can accomplish your goal of getting into PA school. All right, so I want you guys to keep watching and make sure you hit that subscribe button. All right guys, welcome back. Hopefully you subscribe to the channel. So in order to get anywhere in life, we all know that we need to have a plan. You need to be strategic because if you don't have a plan, you're going to be all over the place. And it's going to take you a lot longer to get to your destination and meet your goals. So you always want to make sure that you have a solid plan. And that's something that I wish I had back then. PA school has become very popular, but at the time when I was trying to get into PA school, they didn't have any pre-PA path and there was not a lot of information on getting into PA school. I had to really seek out this information. And I know that if I had a better plan, I would have definitely gotten in way sooner. I don't want you guys to spend thousands of dollars trying to apply to PA school when you don't even have a good application.
Not on my watch.
That's why in this series we're going to talk about how to get the right grades, because I don't care what anyone says, having the right grades and the right GPA is number one. Doesn't matter how many volunteer hours you have. It doesn't matter how many shadowing hours, how many healthcare experiences. Those things don't matter if you don't have the right grades. Now, will those things boost your application overall? Of course. Of course. I'm not saying they are not important, but GPA is the most important thing. So that's why today we're going to talk about how to get the right grades and things that I did that really helped me. With some good planning, you'll have a really good GPA and get into PA school, hopefully on the first try. So one of the most important things is just writing things down. Just writing down an outline of all the classes that you're going to take for the next 4 years while you're in undergrad. Okay, we don't want to make it 5 years. I spent 5 years in undergrad because I just didn't know what I was doing. I could have graduated in 4 years, but I was like, you know what? I don't know what I'm going to do with my life, so I'm just going to stay that extra year, and I just kept taking classes. But that could be really bad because it could really affect your GPA. Something that you really want to do is just make a plan of all the classes that you're going to take for the next 4 years so that you know each semester what you're going to do, and then also have time over the summer to have some fun. That's something that I didn't do, and I think it really burnt me out. I was just continuously taking classes, summer, spring, fall. It's really good to just have an outline of all the classes that you're taking, and you can even go and speak to your advisor so that you're on track and you know that you're gonna graduate with all the classes that you need. The next tip I have for you is to make sure that you are choosing your classes early, okay? Don't be one of those people that's left with the crumbs because you waited to the last minute to sign up for your classes. Make sure you know the CRN numbers for all the classes that you want to take so that when they open the registration, you'll be one of the first ones. I always did that, and I always got the professors that I wanted, and I got a chance to choose all the classes that I wanted. Because the last thing that you want to do is to be thrown off your plan because you couldn't get into certain classes, because they do fill up really quickly, especially the science classes. So a lot of times people will say it doesn't matter which professor you have, you are going to get whatever grade you work for regardless, but I don't think that's entirely true. I think there are some professors that match your learning style more than others. So I used to use ratemyprofessors.com. I don't think it's always really accurate, but that's what I used to use. And I would also ask other people that's taken these classes. What I would do is talk to other students to see what they thought about a certain professor. And that's not to put down any professors out there, but really it can make a big difference in your grade. Because there's been times when I've taken a class with one professor and then taking, maybe part 2 or even retaking a class with a different professor and had a different experience. So you want to make sure that you're just doing that research and making sure that you choose these classes early so you can get the class that you want. The next thing that you want to do is mix the hard classes with the easy classes. So I think a lot of times we want to be that overachiever that's taking the full course load, the 18 credit hours, but you don't want to do that and fail, okay? You don't want to do that and get C's because it's just not going to look good. It's going to do quite the opposite of what you're expecting, which is to impress these schools. So what you want to do is take a mixture of hard classes and easy classes. So what sucks is that sometimes you have the ambition to want to show these schools that you can do well. So you take on 18 credit hours, and then someone else may say, you know what, I'm just going to take full course load, which is 12 credit hours. And they get all A's in those courses, but you get C's and B's. And honestly, the person that has the 12 credit hour course load will get into PA school a lot quicker than you in most cases, because I'm telling you guys that GPA is number one. So their GPA may be a 3.5, and then of course, you're trying your best to take that heavy course load, but you're not doing well. So it's not going to look good for you, and it may take you a longer time to get into PA school. My next tip is to go to tutoring. So sometimes people think going to tutoring means that you're slow or you're dumb or you don't get it or whatever, but honestly, it doesn't matter how you learn the information as long as you learn the information. I'm really a big advocate of tutoring. I've always gone to tutoring, even if I know the information, because I just feel like you can always learn something else. You can always see something from a different perspective. So I like going to tutoring, and a lot of times you can meet a lot of like-minded individuals from your class. I've met a lot of people just by going to tutoring every single week. It really helps you build connections, and you can understand the information on a deeper level, which is what you really want in these science courses. So make sure that you get the help that you need if you need help. The next tip is going to office hours. So I know this can be really intimidating for a lot of students, including myself. Initially, when I was taking undergrad, I didn't really go to office hours because I felt like, okay, maybe they're gonna think I don't know the information or I'm not studying. But the whole point of going to office hours is to actually learn. And I think a lot of professors are open to students coming to office hours, and they're always helpful. There's not been a time that I've been that the professors weren't helpful. When I was in pre-med, I didn't go to office hours much. I went every now and then because, as I said, it was intimidating. But when I did my post-bac courses where I'm like, okay, I'm definitely getting A's in all of these courses, I took the extra step and I went to office hours, and it gave me a chance to really bond with my professors. And I actually got a few recommendation letters because I actually got to know them more. They got to know me, and they saw the hard work that I was putting in. I went weekly, so it wasn't like every now and then, every once in a blue moon. I went weekly to office hours. And the good thing about it is a lot of times teachers give you little gems here and there about what's going to be on the exam. There's been times when I'm asking certain questions, and then the professor's like, well, I want you guys to focus more on this thing. And they're not giving you the answers, but they're kind of giving you a hint of what they're thinking. Because school's really not about how much you know, it's really what they want you to know. That's the most important thing. What does the professor want you to know? So I encourage going to office hours weekly and just getting to know your professors. This is how you're going to get those recommendation recommendation letters, and this is how you're going to do really well on your exams because you're getting it straight from the horse's mouth. So when I was doing my post-bac, one thing that made a big difference for me is staying at school. So whenever we were done with classes, I would go straight to the library and I wouldn't leave until I got all my notes done. And that made a big difference for me because a lot of times we know that when you go home, what you're going to do is go and watch Netflix, you're going to go take a nap, you're going to eat, like you're going to do everything that is going to distract you from finishing your notes. And even if staying at school is not for you, make sure you just find a designated study area where you will be free of distractions, because the only thing distractions do is keep you from your goal. And if you're watching this video, I'm assuming you want to get into PA school, and that's just going to take a lot of sacrifice. You're going to have to sacrifice TV, social media, and doing things that you want to do in order to do things that you need to do in order to get in. So you just got to be focused and mindful and just really handle your time wisely, because if you're staying after school and you're doing your work, what that's going to allow you to do is just go home and relax, chill, watch Netflix, and go to sleep. You don't have to think about studying anymore. So that helped me a whole lot, and it helped me get better grades. And that's our goal if we want to get into PA school. Another tip that I have for you is to get up early and take notes before class, or do it the night before, whatever works best for you. When I started getting all A's in every single course that I was taking is because I was applying these different tips that I'm telling you guys. And what I didn't do before was I didn't take notes before class. I would just go to class, soak up the information, and then try and figure it out after. When you're studying, you have to remember that it's not just to get A's in the class, but also to really learn the information. And learning the information takes a lot of time. You have to give yourself enough time in order to learn it. You can't just expect to go to class and then study whenever you want to study after that class and then do well. You're not going to remember that information. The best way to remember it is to just study before class. During class, engage and even ask your professors whatever question you have. And then after class, making sure that you go back and review everything. It's going to stick a lot better. You don't want to just remember it right now and then later you can't remember it. You want to just make sure you're continuously reviewing the material. So it's really important to be proactive and just get as many passes at the information as you possibly can. So by the time that you get into PA school, you will have a great study method that actually works and will give you the results that will help you be successful there also. A lot of times when we don't get good grades, it's not because we're so stupid or this person's smarter. Really, it comes down to study habits, and I found that when my study habits are good, I tend to do better. But when I have really bad study habits, I'm not going to do as well. So it's really important that you learn how to study, and learning how to study is really a strategy. And you can look up videos on YouTube and go to your professors and just try and figure out how to really study in order to be successful in these classes. Because I went from getting C's in certain classes to getting A's in every single class that I took. Okay. Another tip that I have is to not take on too many extracurricular activities. In order to get into PA school, you do have to put in the work. You have to give volunteer hours, shadowing hours, and so much more. But you want to make sure that you're spreading this out over your 4 years of undergrad, and you're not trying to do everything all at once. You can definitely get in your extracurriculars in when you can. That's the volunteering, the shadowing, and all that stuff. But you don't want it to get in the way of you getting those good grades, because we said that's one of the most important things that's going to help you get into PA school. So we want to protect our GPA. So just choose a couple of things that you want to do for the semester, or even one. You're going to regret taking on all these different hats if it's affecting your grade and your chances of getting in. So I would say be more strategic. You want to make sure that you have a plan. Maybe every Saturday you volunteer with a particular organization, and then you leave Monday through Friday for school. One organization that I really loved and that I worked with is Big Brothers Big Sister. That was like the bulk of my volunteer experiences, and I worked with them for 2 years. I saw the little that I was working with, that's what we call it, your little brother, your little sister. So what I would do is see her weekly. I would go to her classroom or the lunchroom, or we would go after school to the after school program, and I would just hang out with her, talk to her, help her in any way that I could. But it was only 2 hours per week, which is not much time. But over the course of 2 years, that added up to a lot of time. So I'm not overdoing it, but I'm doing something that is necessary. You do want to be consistent, but you don't want to overdo it to the point that it's affecting your grades. You don't have to have every single opportunity on your application. Just looking back, I remember thinking, okay, I need to have research hours. I need to have a lot of volunteer hours, a lot of shadowing hours. I need to be the president of this club in order to show leadership. But honestly, you don't need every single opportunity. Really, the most important thing is just being consistent and showing that you're committed. You cannot do everything, but you can do some things. So just figure out what is important for you, like what causes are important for you, and don't stress yourself with every single thing. Many times when we don't do well in school, we think that, hey, maybe we're not smart enough. Maybe the person who's getting A's in the class is smarter than we are. Maybe they have better brain cells, but that's not necessarily the case. Really, it comes down to strategy, and some people know how to study really well and they put the least amount of effort for maximum rewards. So when I took my post-bac courses, I told myself that I was gonna get all A's. I don't care which class I was taking. I took genetics, immunology, biochemistry, all these upper level classes, and I'm like, I have to get an A in them. So I had to have a plan in order to make this happen, because if before I was getting B's, C's, sometimes A's, now I'm saying I'm gonna get all A's, period. But in order to make that happen, I had a plan. So what I did was I used to study before class, and during class I would take the necessary notes, and then I would write down questions and ask the professor. And then after class, I would either go to office hours and then go to the library, or if they didn't have office hours that day, I would go straight to the library. And then I would stay there until I finished all my notes. So I would not go home unless I was done. And then once I was home, I could relax. I could just watch a TV show, like an episode or something, and go straight to bed. But then I would get up super early in the morning, around 3 a.m., and I would start studying. So that was me taking notes before class just to make sure that I'm following along, and I would repeat that cycle, and I got all A's, okay? So you can do it too. You have to tell yourself that you can do it. So I did it, and I know that you can do it too. You just gotta make sure that you have a strategic plan and follow it. You have to be consistent. You can't just feel like doing something on certain days and not feel like doing it on other days. There's no way you're going to get results that way. So you want to be consistent and stick to your plan, and I know that you can get an A in your science classes. Don't be intimidated. Don't let anyone tell you, oh, this is so hard, because sometimes I used to listen to people saying certain classes were hard, and then when I took it, I'm like, okay, it's not as bad as they said it was. All right, you guys, so I hope these tips were really helpful for you, and I know that this path to getting into PA school can be really hard, but just come up with a really good study plan and stick to it. You can do it. You can get A's in these classes, because that's what's really going to get you into PA school. I hope to see you guys on next week's video, where we talk about how to get into PA school with a low GPA. And thank you guys so much for your continuous support. I will see you guys next week. Bye.